Hello, folks. Welcome to the show. Just going to be looking down my phone here for notes. There will be, for this topic, there will be no screen for the background. You're forced to look at my awesome face and listen to my pretty voice. As I'm sure you know, Chris Tanev got traded to the Dallas Stars. I'm sure you've already seen some analysis and stuff, but the reason I took longer is I did a bit more analysis than you usually see, because everyone's talking about Chris Tanev, deservedly so. He's the one NHL player involved in this trade so far. And I wanted to focus. I'm still going to talk about Chris Tanev, obviously, but I wanted to talk about some other guys too, and the trade in general. I was going to call this my instant analysis video for this, but I might have to call it late analysis because it's been over 24 hours. But anyways, let's get right into it. So Calgary received Artem Grushnikov from Dallas, a 2024 second round pick from Dallas. And if Dallas makes the Stanley Cup Finals, Dallas will give this year, Dallas will give Calgary their 2026 third round pick. So it'd be kind of funny if Calgary actually kicks out the Stars in the playoffs this year. I'm sure winning a round in the playoffs means more to Calgary and the Flames than a third round pick does, but the GM might have some mixed feelings. Anywho, before Chris Tanev goes to Dallas, he technically goes through New Jersey because we're doing some money laundering here, because Dallas is only going to be paying 25%, or paying isn't the right word because cap hit is different than salary. Dallas will only be taking on 25% of Chris Tanev's cap hit. 50% is being retained by Calgary, and then Chris Tanev technically goes through New Jersey, and New Jersey gives Dallas Chris Tanev. New Jersey takes 50% of what's left. So of the $4.5 million that Chris Tanev is Chris Tanev's cap hit, Calgary is still eating $2.25 million. New Jersey $1.125 million, and Dallas will only be paying that number for a very good defensive defenseman, $1.125 million. They also got Cole Brady from New Jersey Devils, and I'll talk about both Brady and Grushnikov. That's with an I. Okay, and then New Jersey gets a fourth round pick from Dallas out of all this, as well as getting to pay some extra money. So let's start with Chris Tanev, the obvious. I'm sure you know him, probably love him. We'll talk about him. I won't keep it quick. I'm never good at keeping it quick. So if you don't know Chris Tanev, let's get into him. And if you do know Chris Tanev, let's get into him. He was born in Toronto. Not a good start. He's 34 years old. This isn't looking good. But he's 6'2", 193 pounds, and he if you're a goalie and I'm a goalie, you love this guy. He's only got one goal and 13 assists in 56 games this year, but that's not his bread and butter. His bread and butter is blocking shots. I like how the hockey guy put it, where he says, because Chris Tanev played for the Canucks, and obviously THG fell in love with him there and continued to fall in love with him wherever he was, which was in Calgary. He says Chris Tanev blocks everything with everything, including his face, which is why he's missing teeth. Anyways, so yeah, Chris Tanev, he's not producing any offense. He's only got 14 points, one goal, 56 games. He doesn't even have a shot per game. But that's okay. When he's on the ice, it's because of defensive situations. He plays nearly 20 minutes a night. 2.5 minutes of that is shorthanded time. He has 25 hits, but has 171 blocks on the year. That's already beats his career high. He's got 21 takeaways as well, so very respectable numbers there. The one blemish here is his Fenwick 4 percentage and his Corsi 4, if you want to get into that as well. 45.8, so that means that when he's on the ice, Calgary only controlled 45.8% of the shots, which is very low for Calgary. Calgary usually controls well over 50%. But this is actually can be turned into a positive, because one, unless you're an analytics nerd who doesn't play hockey. I love analytics nerds and I love analytics, but there are some of you who don't play hockey, and it's obvious. The reason those numbers are low is because Tanev is deployed in defensive situations. 65.9% of his zone starts are in the defensive zone. So obviously his Fenwick 4 is going to be lower. And that's a career high for him, by the way, that defensive zone start percentage. So he, again, spends pretty much all of his time in the defensive zone. So you'd imagine, because he spends so much of his he spends so much of his time in the defensive zone, it would be forgivable if his expected plus minus, according to Hockey Reference, is like a -5 or a -10. But it's not. It's only a -0.6. Because when Chris Tanev is on the ice, other teams don't get good quality shots unless they are super lucky. Because Chris Tanev's either going to take it away from him, he's either going to push him off the puck, or he's going to block it himself. Usually the latter. He is very good on defense. There's no way about it. Another example is the fact that goalies do perform notably better when he's on the ice. The Calgary Flames have a team save percentage of .898, but it becomes a .906 when Tanev is on the ice. A really awesome guy to have if you're going to go for a cup run, which Dallas is doing. I don't know what line he'll be on, and whatever line he's on now can change and all that kind of stuff. He does have an injury history as well, but he's been mostly healthy in Calgary. His injury history has to do with the kind of game he plays, and the fact that he's been mostly healthy in Calgary is a very good sign, despite the kind of game he plays. So if him and Heiskanen could stay healthy, that should be a really good duo, assuming that's what works out. You never know with chemistry and that kind of stuff. Anyways, great defensive player. Next guy I want to talk about is Artem Grushnikov. He kind of intrigued me reading about him. There's not much to look at because he hasn't played an NHL game, and the leagues that he's played in only keep track of games played, goals, assists, points, penalty minutes, and plus minus, or at least publicly. I'm sure they keep track of other things. I just can't find those. So the Russian, as you can probably guess, born in Voskresensk. He's 20 years old. He's 6'1", 194 pounds, similar to Christopher Tanev. He does not put up all the points. He played 29 games in the MHL, which is the Russians' junior league. He only had 5 points in those and 4 penalty minutes. OHL, he played 121 games there, 13 goals, 16 assists, 29 points, 77 penalty minutes, and was a plus 40. And that was in Hamilton, by the way. And then in the AHL, he's played with the Texas Stars. He's played 44 games there, vast majority of which come from this season. He said it has a goal, 4 assists, and 5 points, 32 penalty minutes, and is a plus 1. So again, you're not learning too much there, except for the fact he's not putting up offensive numbers. But those offensive numbers are very similar to Chris Tanev's NHL numbers. And reading about the way he plays according to elite prospects and how he describes himself, you start thinking about Christopher Tanev more and more. Let's hear from him first. He says, when he's asked about going to Calgary, he says, "I can't explain my emotions right now. I'm so excited to be part of Calgary. I'm headed back to Canada, and I'm so excited." Awesome for him. I really like Calgary, even as an Edmontonian. Calgary is actually one of my favorite cities. I love it as much as I can love a city, which isn't very much, but it's a great place. And I was a little weirded out that he is more excited to go to Canada than Texas. Texas is really hot. He is a Russian. Maybe he's missing the snow. Up here in Spruce Grove, we got over a foot of snow on Monday. So, yay, welcome home, Grushnikov. Hope you enjoyed the snow. Anyways, our taxes aren't as bad as the rest of Canada, but they're still not as good as Texas. But whatever, hey, wherever you feel at home. And I hope he does. Because he's also seems like a really good guy. When asked about what his favorite part of his game is, what he likes doing the most. I just love playing hockey. He just loves hockey, and he seems to know it. He talks about how he when describing himself, he says, "I'm a defensive defenseman. I play strong hockey. I try to do the best for the team in the D zone, penalty kill, everything. I'm working on my offensive game too, trying to grow." Obviously, with I assume a thick Russian accent, but he did play in the OHL. The most indicative quote here comes from Elite Prospects. They describe him as following: Grushnikov can act both as a supporting element in a defensive pairing, the element who glues himself to off-puck attackers and denies them passes, and the engager. He can use his body and skating to win the puck one-on-one along the boards or in open ice, allowing his team to rapidly relaunch the attack, something he can occasionally do himself through short passes. Close quote. So if you're a Calgary fan, you're probably going to miss Christopher Tanev. You're probably happy for him too, but you're probably going to miss Christopher Tanev. But on the plus side, you might have got a really good replacement for him. He was drafted in the second round by Dallas, and if you're drafted by Dallas, it's usually a good sign. I'm kind of excited to see what he can do. I'm not going to call him the next Christopher Tanev because he's not Christopher Tanev. He's Artem Grushnikov, but he seems to be. No, he is the exact same style, and we'll see if he can be just as good. Obviously, it took Christopher Tanev a long time to hone the skills he had. Not that he was bad when he was younger or anything. It was just he didn't really. It's hard to enter your peak at a young age when you're a defensive defenseman. It usually takes you quite long, and it was especially long for Tanev. It was his early 30s because of his injuries that he had in Vancouver. Hopefully, it doesn't take that long for Grushnikov. Last, we'll talk about Cole Brady. Not much I could find on him, just some stats. He's from Pickering, Ontario, 23 years old, 6'5", 181 pounds. He was drafted in the 5th round by New Jersey in 2019. Keep in mind that Derek Wolf was drafted in either the 6th or 7th round, and Devin Levi was drafted in the 6th round. So it's still possible he can make the league. He's a bit older now at 23. So the chances aren't really there. And looking at his stats, they're not usually there. He's played in the Ontario Junior Hockey League, didn't play much there. He allowed a lot of goals, had a .904 save percentage, 2 shutouts. North American Hockey League was his best time statistically. He was 21-17-4, .912 save percentage, 279 goals against average, and he had 5 shutouts. But then his save percentage returned to low 900s with his time in the USHL and college most recently. His NHL path is increasingly less likely. But again, you never know with goalies. Goalies are weird. The development structure is very weird. Alex Lyon is not young. He's close to 30. I think he's 29. So, yeah, the chance is still there for Cole Brady, absolutely. But it's not a good sign when New Jersey, who is in desperate need of a goalie, trades away a 23-year-old goalie and cap hit for a 4th-round pick. So, anyways, I think the trade is decent for everyone. I think Calgary essentially has 2 second-rounders because Grushnikov was a 2nd-round pick. I think they got a really good return. There was some hope for a 1st-round pick, but that wasn't always super realistic. It was possible, but it wasn't super realistic. Dallas, obviously, I assume will be happy with Chris Tanev. I thought the conditions for the pick would have been related to Chris Tanev's health rather than their playoff success, but whatever. Again, I assume they'll be happy even if he doesn't resign because they didn't give away a ton, and they're not spending a lot of cap space either. Just over $1 million in cap space. New Jersey, kind of weirded. Everyone says that they're going to be buying, which I'm not so sure. And get a 4th-round pick in return. But if you were thinking that New Jersey needs a goalie and cap hit, which they have plenty of cap hit, or cap space, I mean, this would be kind of weird. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Chris Tanev goes from one Cowboy city to another. Again, excited for him, see what he'll do there. I kind of wish, as an Edmonton fan, that Calgary got a first-round pick, because even though Calgary's a rival, Jim Neal is just so good with his first-round picks. But he's also very good with his second-round picks, so it's not a huge loss. But anyways, it's not like I don't think there's going to be a clear winner in this trade. Just straight on good. My Calgary friends were happy, or mixed, mostly, but mostly happy for Chris Tanev, and will probably be cheering for him and Dallas, because it means they get a third-round pick. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for paying attention, or using me as white noise, either or. That works just fine. I hope you leave a like. I hope I've earned it. Please leave your thoughts on the trade, or whatever you want, in the comment section below. And subscribe and hit that bell as well. And I'll see you when I see you.